Hello, welcome to another presentation of Map Business Online on video. So we're just going to talk a little bit today about our UI, our user interface. So any place around the application where you have to interact with the application. Up here is the scroll bar tool where you can zoom in and out on the map. This will let you go all the way in and all the way back out. So I've zoomed all the way in. You can see some of the data that's there. It's kind of covered by the state layer. And then I can come all the way back out. I can zoom back using that black back button there. I can zoom out to a US-wide view using that little United States flag button there. I can also grab this little magnifying glass and I can zoom into a small area and check out, more and more detail as I go in. When you're done zooming in, uncheck it so that you can use the tool to do other things on the map. You can see you can actually move around on the map by grabbing your cursor like a hand and just pulling the map. So you can spend all day combing the US that way. You can also go over here to the Map and Data tab, and that's where you can actually control the layers that you import. So if I've got a layer of data that I've imported, I can turn it off and on. I can turn layers of jurisdictions, and we've got like these new overlays of highways and cities that you can turn off and on. And I can turn my county layer off and on using the Map and Data tab. Now you'll also notice in the Map and Data tab that you can go into any given layer and you can click that little gear. That's where you can actually delete as well. You could delete the layer if you wanted to, so I could just get rid of the cities. And I could go into any layer. We're going to go into counties, and I'm going to click that little gear, and it's going to bring up a dialog that lets me decide how thick the lines are going to be or what color they're going to be. So if you look over to the right here, you'll see my lines will change from purple to red. And they may be obnoxious or they may be valuable in terms of referencing. I can make the fill go away on the inside of those county lines. So it gives you a way to work with a variety of different aspects of the county zip code or state data to basically tweak it to your liking. You've also got the ability to manage the labeling. You can see you've got general up here and then labels down here. So if you go back up and we've got the fill turned on, you'll notice we can go back in and change the color if we want to. And we can come back down here to the labels and we can format the labels so that those labels for the actual county will show up at a certain zoom level. And that's pretty powerful. If we go back to that view down here, you'll see right now they're coming up at state level. And we don't see any counties because they won't come on until state level. They are checked on. So right now, if we wanted to view labels, we'd have to actually zoom in to a state level before we would start to see the name of counties coming up. So now if we pulled back a little bit, there's going to be a point at which those labels disappear. And then we could go back into that little edit tool, go down to the label function, and choose to have them show up like at the North American label level. And there they are. So they start to come in. Now you'll notice they don't all come in because the mapping application is going to take into consideration crowding in terms of labeling, and it's only going to let certain labels show up, and then more will come in as you zoom in. You could also go in and change, the way the labels look, italics. You can get rid of that little shadow. We can change the color. So there's a variety of things you can do with the mapping application in order to customize it for your particular map view, something that makes sense to you, something that feels comfortable to you. This also lets you go in and format the labels and callouts. So you could change the labels in terms of adding data to the labels, which is very cool. So let's go into the labels. Let's go into our demographic data. Then let's just pull in population. That's 2012. Where is it? Yeah, we want to see 60 to 64-year-olds in every county. And now that information is showing up with the county labels. Pretty cool. I don't know if you can get much cooler than that. So that's sort of a little bit on the Map and Data tab where you can control your layers. Turn off the zoom. And then we're going to turn on the data window. And in the data window, you've got a whole bunch of information here that you've imported. And you can symbolize here. So in your symbolization, you can go all the way up to the top to manage custom symbols, which would let you import your own custom symbols. So you can click on that. You can see these are symbols that I've imported. You know, you never can have enough imported symbols. You know, you get Denny's labels and Bradley Cooper. Got to have those. And then you've got the ability to edit your data. So you can edit the properties of the data or maybe the address location. So for instance, if I wanted to go in and say, well, that's not really where that is located. It's located over here. So you just click over there. It moves it over there, and you can see it's assigned a new latitude, longitude point. So that's a good way for you to go in and edit the data that you've imported. You can see you can also go in and edit the properties of the data, which will bring up a dialog box that lets you go in and change the fields. You can actually go in and change the names and change the numbers in any of this data. So you can see the $1,500 is listed there for sales, and you can say, well, no, I did $7,500 and save that information, and it's changed there. That dialog also comes up when you hit any of these you select any of these items, and you can decide you're going to edit by clicking that little gear. Again, that little gear means you can edit things, and again, you're going to be able to edit. And you could also use these, the address toolbar to put in an address. I'm going to do this while I talk. I'm chewing gum too. And we get that in there, and then press the binoculars, and then that puts a location on the map. And again, you get that little toolbar that you can start to work with the data. So you can save that in a new location, so start a new data set, or add to an existing data set and add that location to that data set. So there's all sorts of things you can do in terms of editing the data that you've imported. And speaking of data that you've imported, when you import a data set, think about an Excel spreadsheet that's got columns spread into address, city, state, zip code. If you've got latitude and longitude, you should have a column for latitude, a column for longitude. Then you can put whatever else you want. So if you've got sales or patients or products or, you know, pets or whatever it is, it'll all come in. But this is the critical data for putting things on the map. The more detailed you can get, including address, the more you're going to have information accurately located on your map. If it's just by city and you've got no address information, if it's just by city, it's going to put it in the middle of the city. If it's just zip code, it's going to put it in the middle of the zip code. So those are some interesting points in terms of the user interface of Map Business Online. I could go on, but I think that's long enough. Thanks very much for taking the time to view this video, and we will help you if you need any help. Give us a ring, 207, excuse me. Go to mapbusinessonline.com and take our free trial. Thanks.